You just got the news you've been waiting for. Maybe it's a wedding. Maybe it's a reunion at the airport. Maybe it's just your dog running toward you after a long day. And out of nowhere you're crying. Not sad crying. Not even close. Your chest feels full. Your face is smiling. And yet tears are running down it anyway. You wipe them away, a little confused. Isn't crying supposed to mean something is wrong? But the real answer is far stranger. Your body isn't malfunctioning in that moment. It's doing something it was built to do, something so old and so specific that scientists only recently figured out why it happens at all. Here's the strange part first. Crying isn't actually one thing. For most of your life you've probably filed it under a single label. Sadness. Pain. Maybe grief. But your tear ducts don't check your mood before switching on. They respond to something much bigger than sadness, something researchers call emotional overload. Psychologist Oriana Aragón at Yale spent years studying a strange pattern she noticed in ordinary people. She found that when someone feels an emotion that is extremely intense, whether that emotion is joy, relief, or even pride, the brain sometimes responds with an expression that looks like its opposite. She named this a dimorphous expression. Two forms, one feeling. Think about what that means for a second. You've seen it before, probably without a name for it. A person laughing so hard they start crying. A parent sobbing while grinning ear to ear at their child's graduation. Someone bursting into tears the moment they win. Aragón's research found that these mismatched expressions aren't random glitches. They show up specifically at emotional peaks, the moments when a feeling becomes almost too large for the body to hold in just one form. So why would your body do this? One leading idea comes down to balance. Psychologist Robert Levenson, who has spent decades studying the physiology of emotion, has shown that intense positive feelings activate many of the same physiological systems as intense negative ones. Heart rate spikes. Breathing changes. The nervous system floods with activity. Your body in that moment doesn't have a separate reaction library for good news versus bad news. It has one system for overwhelming feeling, and it borrows expressions from wherever they're available. Crying happens to be one of the most efficient release valves your body has. Here's a question worth sitting with. Why would a release valve for negative pain also work for positive joy? Some researchers think the answer starts long before words even existed. Dutch psychologist Ad Vingerhoets, who has studied crying more extensively than almost anyone alive, points out that tears have always served a social function, not just a personal one. Crying is loud. It's visible. It pulls other people toward you. In dangerous or overwhelming moments that mattered. A crying human draws help, comfort, attention. But intense joy is overwhelming too. Falling in love. Reuniting with someone you thought you'd lost. Watching your child do something you've imagined for years. These moments flood the nervous system just as hard as fear does. Your body reaches for the same tool it always reaches for when emotion gets too large to hold quietly. It isn't confusing your feelings. It's using its oldest trick for the biggest ones. There's a modern twist to this though, one that shows up in a place you wouldn't expect. Weddings. Watch enough of them and you'll notice something odd. The people crying hardest usually aren't the ones feeling worst. They're the ones feeling the most. Vingerhoets' research on emotional tears found that happy tears often appear at transition points, moments where something significant is beginning or ending at the same time. A wedding is both. So is graduation. So is a reunion after years apart. Your nervous system doesn't process endings and beginnings as separate categories. It processes them as intensity, and intensity is intensity, whether it arrives wrapped in relief or joy. This also explains something you've probably felt but never quite named. Why happy tears often show up right after stress ends, not during the good part itself. You don't cry the moment you find out your flight is safe. You cry a few seconds later, when your body finally registers that the danger has actually passed. You don't cry the second the wedding vows are said. You cry watching two people you love hold hands and realize the waiting is finally over. The tears arrive on the exhale, not the inhale. On the release, not the peak. Which brings us back to you. standing there with a wet face and a strange half-laugh, wondering what's wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You're not confused. You're not broken. Your body just used its oldest tool, the one built for overwhelming moments of any kind, and pointed it at something good instead of something painful. Somewhere in your nervous system is a system that never learned the difference between too much sadness and too much joy. It only learned one thing. When a feeling gets bigger than you can hold quietly, let it out. So the next time it happens, in an airport, at a wedding, watching your dog do something it doesn't even realize is remarkable, don't wipe the tears away like they're a mistake to hide. They're not a malfunction. They're proof that something mattered enough to overflow.